So as you all know, the Cubot X50 is Cubot's latest flagship device. It is actually quite impressive. It has really nice features, but it is a lot similar to the Cubot X30. The Cubot X30 was Cubot's flagship back then. It was released alongside the Cubot C30. Both devices back then have similar specifications. This newly released Cubot X50 is an impressive device, but it's very similar to the X30 in many ways, which we'll be pointing out. So I'll be comparing the features of the Cubot X30 versus the Cubot X50 or vice versa. It's a specs comparison video, so make sure to have that in mind. So without wasting much time, let's head into it. Alright, the Cubot X50 has a 6.67 inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD display. It has a resolution of 1080 by 2400. It also has an aspect ratio of 20:9. The X30 on the other hand has a 6.4 inch Full HD Plus display. It's also an IPS LCD display. It has a 1080 by 2310 resolution. It also has a 20:9 aspect ratio display. So definitely the Cubot X50 has a better display than the X30. Moving on to SoC, both devices have the same SoC, the Helio P60, which is not the best, but it's still quite okay, especially because of the fact that both devices are actually quite affordable. Moving on to OS, the Cubot X50 has the latest Android 11 OS, while the X30 has the Android 10 OS, so definitely an upgrade there. Moving on to memory, the Cubot X50 has 8GB RAM and 128GB internal storage, while the X30 has two variants, an 8GB RAM and 128GB internal storage variant, and an 8GB RAM and 256GB internal storage variant. So definitely the Cubot X30 has a much bigger variant compared to the X50. Perhaps Cubot might introduce a much bigger variant of the X50 very soon, no idea though. Moving on to camera, the Cubot X50 has a quad camera setup at the back, a 64 megapixel main camera, a 60 megapixel wide angle camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, and a 0.3 megapixel camera. While the X30 has a penta camera setup. Now a penta camera setup means a 5 camera setup, 5 cameras at the back. It has a 14 megapixel main camera, a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, a 2 megapixel depth, and a 0.3 megapixel camera. Both devices has the same selfie, a 32 megapixel selfie camera. Moving on to battery life, the Cubot X50 has a 4500 mAh battery, while the X30 has a 4200 mAh battery. Cubot never mentioned anything about fast charge, so I have no idea if these devices here support fast charge, but it wouldn't make sense if they don't. Anyways, those are the key features of both devices, and of course you can see they are actually quite similar in many ways. For example, they have the same SoC. NFC is present on both devices, which is very nice, and of course they have both fingerprint and Face ID support, which is nice as well. So those are the key features of the X30 and the X50. Share your thoughts in the comment section below what you think about both devices. In my opinion, they are actually quite okay, but I do not like the fact that Cubot still stick with the Helio P60. They should have gone for the Helio G80 for the X50, or perhaps G85 or higher. I mean, this is 2021. Affordable smartphones out there are releasing with at least the Helio G70. The P60 is quite okay, but it's getting dated. It is a very old SoC. Anyways, share your thoughts in the comment section below what you think about both devices. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.